Welcome to Beyond Talk Therapy. This is an experiential introduction to somatic practices. My name is Topher Scott. I'm the founder of Sacred Kin Counseling, and I'm a licensed professional counselor associate in the state of Texas. I'm supervised by Lesley Smith, LPC-S. I'm also a certified yoga instructor and a Reiki master. And in general, my approach to counseling is a non-pathologizing approach. I do very strongly believe in the power of mind and body healing, and that we need both components to make it a holistic path and a truly meaningful path that's not just a band-aid approach. I see our symptoms and our stress responses and even suffering as intelligent cues and adaptations. We can think of these as alerts that are giving us signs and signals about what's going on, that something's out of alignment, something's out of harmony. Today's focus is on somatic tools that go beyond talk therapy and techniques that help us connect with the nervous system, especially, and shift how we experience safety and regulation in our bodies. A few important reminders before we jump into any of these practices. I do want to emphasize that this is an educational workshop. This isn't therapy. We are going to be exploring some somatic concepts, breath work, and nervous system education here, and we will be engaging in 9 techniques total. These tools can support your wellness, but I do want to emphasize that they're not a substitute for mental health care or trauma treatment. And when we're talking about somatic practices, one thing I do want to add in here is that it is important, if we have a lot of trauma, to be aware of how somatic practices can activate trauma. And so sometimes if we have a lot of trauma and we engage in a lot of somatic practices like intensive breath work, and that won't be this webinar, but if we engage in something like that, sometimes it can feel really good immediately, and then we get this big backlash from the body afterwards. Just know that if you're in active crisis or if you're navigating overwhelming trauma, I would gently encourage you to observe, but not necessarily try to use these tools to try to self-regulate in this moment. These practices aren't intended for processing the trauma alone. If that's a scenario that resonates for you, I would encourage you to work with a licensed professional. And if you're in an emergency state, always know that you can call 988 or 911 if you have immediate danger. All that said, let's begin today by jumping into a quick little poll. In one word, go ahead and share how you would identify or qualify your energy, your mood, or your vibe in this moment. Nice. We got positive, flowering, medium, hopeful, tired, and comfortable. And I'm going to put in here energized, relaxed. Okay. Cool. We got a nice little spectrum here. I love it. Just take note of this for a moment. Notice how you're feeling now, because we're going to return to this later and see how things change. For our first somatic practice, we're going to do a guided body scan meditation. Mindfulness is such an important part of the picture, and it's a doorway, a very easy starting place. And I say easy because I really like to reframe it that way. I think mindfulness and meditation has been branded as something that can be quite intimidating and scary for people, because we've been trained to think of this classic image of a Zen monk, Buddhist, and I have to be masterful at it, and I have to be able to control my thoughts, and I can't do that. Well, I want to reframe this and say that I think mindfulness meditation is something that we can do so much more deliberately and in small chunks. I can tell you, I have a hard time sitting for an hour meditating. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I can do. But even that isn't always accessible. If you can't do that, a minute and a half can still be very powerful and effective. There's research, there's scientific research we can regulate within 90 seconds when we strengthen and practice that skill. Today, we'll be taking a look inward with some guidance. If you get distracted, that's a-okay. Just come back to my voice. Let's go ahead and begin. Settle into your seat or wherever you are, and go ahead and close your eyes. And just start to soften everything. And let's go ahead and begin with the breath. For this practice, we're going to be approaching it with a 4-7-8 breath approach. We'll do an inhale for a count of 4. We'll hold for a count of 7, and we'll exhale. We'll try to lengthen the breath to a count of 8. When you exhale during this practice, exhale slowly through your mouth like you're breathing through a straw. This might take a little practice. So let's go ahead and begin. Inhale through the nose for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and just hold the breath gently. And just notice. Notice what your posture is like in this moment. Notice if your shoulders lifted a little bit when you held your breath. And if they did, just go ahead and let them drop gently. And now exhale slowly for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try that again. Go ahead and inhale again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And just bring your awareness to the top of the head. Notice any tension in the brow. Soften the forehead. Just relax the muscles around the eyes. Soften the jaw and let your lips part slightly and start to exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale again. 2, 3, 4. And now hold. Bring your attention to the neck and to the shoulders. And just notice what you're holding there without necessarily trying to change it. Just notice. And just let it melt down and drop into the heart space for a moment, just sensing what's in the chest. And exhale. Long exhale. Next, bring your awareness to your abdomen and just notice what's happening in the gut and continuing to breathe this way in the 4-7-8 rhythm. Just drop your attention to the belly. Just for a moment. And just continuing to scan and bring your attention further downward, down to the hips, to the legs, and to the knees. To the calves, the ankles, and the feet. Keep breathing. Now bring your awareness to the arms, to the elbows, the forearms, the wrists. Take another deep inhale through the nose. And exhale again. And finally, draw your attention to your hands. Notice any sensations in the palms, the fingertips, and the backs of the hands. Just wiggle the fingers very gently. And now I just want you to breathe at a natural pace, whatever is a normal pace for you. Just return to your normal way of breathing. And just take a moment to notice if you're sitting in a chair, notice the contact between your feet and the floor and your body in the chair. Or if you're sitting on the floor, just notice those contact points as well. Just feel into those grounding points. And take another deep inhale. And when you're ready, go ahead and start to gently open the eyes. And now we'll take a moment to orient here, to ground and to orient. Take a look around your room for a moment and notice 3 objects around you. Very deliberately, and take a look at those surface textures and the qualities of those objects. Let your gaze just settle on one of the objects. And now bring a hand to your heart or to your belly and just take a few final soft breaths. Just notice the texture of the fabric under your hand. Notice the taste of your mouth. Just noticing any sounds in the room besides my voice, maybe just the sound of stillness. Now that we've all returned, in a few words, what part or parts came forward during that body scan practice? And when I say parts, you can think of thoughts, emotions, feelings, memories. All of those can be parts of the self. What parts came forward to you? And also, it can be pain or other sensations. Maybe you felt euphoria in the body. Whatever you felt, whatever really stood out to you. Okay, we got stiff neck, perfectionism, shoulder felt tight, shoulders a bit stiff, and your system let you know about it. Everything else was just there. Restless energy. Then we got felt relaxed and sleepy. Okay. These are all great responses. There's no wrong response. These things are all very, very connected to the polyvagal approach. Let me pull up my handy slides again here. Let's talk about nervous system regulation. Having a nervous system that's regulated doesn't mean that we're always in a state of calm. What it means is that when we are activated, when we shift into a state like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flow, when our nervous system doesn't see safety, then how do we respond? What we're trying to do is train a muscle, if we think of it that way, training a muscle to respond, have our nervous system respond in a way that supports our safety and helps us maintain connection so that we can make choices. Obviously, we want to make better choices because oftentimes if we're activated, we might lash out or we might do something that's kind of uncharacteristic. So it's not necessarily about avoiding activation or avoiding being triggered. That's going to happen. That's a natural part of life. But how can we strengthen this awareness and increase our capacity to ride those waves without getting swept away or stuck in a loop or a cycle with those feelings or those states of being able to move through the stress cycle and return to a place of homeostasis or balance. And that's what we're trying to strengthen here with these polyvagal practices that we're going to do. Strengthen how we can return to our homeostasis with a little bit more ease and know that, okay, I've got tools, I've got techniques so I can get back there a little bit faster, a little bit more easily. Fun little quote here. I saw this. I wish I knew where it came from, but regulation is self-leadership. A way to think about this in terms of parts, thinking about all those internal parts, the different thoughts, emotions, different experiences that we have that live inside of us, if we can think of those as sub-personalities, what we're wanting to do is return leadership back to our most capable self, the driver of the ship. And the nervous system's always looking for safety cues. As part of the nervous system, we have a very special nerve called the vagus nerve. It's the 10th cranial nerve. And from an autonomic perspective, it's going to modulate heart, lungs, digestion, and metabolism. Let's just take a look at it because I think the image is so much more powerful than anything I could say. You can imagine then if the nervous system isn't sensing safety in a chronic way, how this nerve is sending signals to all of these different organs and how, when those organs are chronically under stress collectively, how this can impact our health and well-being in numerous ways. Interesting things about the vagus nerve: 80% of its traffic flows from the body and 20% the other way around. It's called neuroception. And it even happens when we're dialoguing with people. We're not always aware of it, but we tend to mirror another person's expressions. And when we do mirror their expressions, what we're doing with our face is also sending signals back to the vagus nerve. If we're mirroring somebody's anger or discomfort, that's all getting translated into cues of safety or lack of safety. Then it's a feedback pathway that's constantly activated in different ways. Vagal tone means that your body can more easily shift between stress and calm. that you can recover from those challenges and stay connected. Connection really being the word here because we're going to move into different states, but how we can stay connected and access our prefrontal thinking is a big part of this and maintain the emotional balance. Signs of low or poor vagal tone, anxiety, overwhelm, difficulty calming down after a stressor, digestive issues, sleep disturbances, low energy or frequent shutdown and dissociation, and feeling disconnected from our body or from others. Poor vagal tone can really start becoming a little bit more apparent when we see chronic stress or trauma. Let's do another little quick test before we jump into our practice. Go ahead and sit up straight and turn your head very gently from side to side and notice what you're feeling there. If you're feeling any tension, I know some of you already said that there was some neck tension. Take inventory of where you're at right now. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the basic exercise. Interlace the fingers and then place them behind the head. Just rest the weight of your head. Without really moving your face or your body, just shift the eyes as far as you can to the right. It might be helpful to look at your elbow. Just keep breathing. And now just gently bring your eyes back to center. And now we're going to shift our eyes in the other direction. Same thing. And just keep breathing. And come back to center. And release the hands. Just let them relax in your lap. The next exercise is called the half salamander. We're going to repeat by shifting the eyes all the way to the right, and then we're going to drop the head without lifting the shoulder. Turn the eyes to the right, as far as you can to the right. And now start to lower the ear to the shoulder without lifting the shoulder. And just keep breathing, gently breathing through the nose if you can. And gently lift the head, come back to center. And now we'll do the other side. Look left. And drop the ear to the shoulder without lifting the shoulder. Taking a deep inhale and hold. And exhale. And coming back to center. We're going to do some gentle neck rolls. So we'll begin by dropping the chin forward. Just take an inhale and start to roll the head to the left. And start to roll back. And as you roll back, just be mindful not to completely collapse the neck. Leave a little space there. And as you roll to the right, exhale. And when you come to center, inhale in reverse directions. Again, we're working with the vagus nerve and some of these accessory nerves between the eye movements, the neck movements, and the neck rolls, sending new signals and stimulation to that vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs through the throat. Humming and chanting can also be very helpful for stimulating the vagus nerve. I like to do Om. If you don't like Om and Om doesn't work for you, try or whatever sound works for you. We'll do a series of 5 to 10 ohms here. Take a deep inhale. Om. Inhale again. Om. And inhale. Om. Place a hand on your chest or your throat so you can feel and connect to the vibrations a little bit. Take another deep inhale. Om. All right, next practice, soft belly breathing. We're engaging the parasympathetic nervous system by relaxing the diaphragm and the abdominal muscles. Go ahead and place one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest. And just inhale slowly through the nose and allow the belly to expand rather than the chest. Inhale. And we'll exhale slowly through the mouth, drawing the navel back gently. And inhale again through the nose, allowing the belly to expand. And exhale slowly through the mouth. Inhale again. And exhale slowly through the mouth. This time we're going to change it up just a little bit. Inhale again, this time through the nose for a count of 4. And on the exhale, you're going to release a long audible sigh, another way of stimulating the vagus nerve, okay? So inhale. Now we're going to shift to a different approach. We're going to work with the face a little bit. So we're going to work with a couple of acupuncture points. The first one is LI 20. It's here on the outside of the nose in that fold right there. And just apply a little bit of pressure here. just lightly. Start to notice you can feel bone under there, but then feel the muscle, right? Start to gently massage upwards and out and come into circles here. Inhale and a long exhale. Now we're going to move to another point. Using your thumbs under the eyebrows here, just gently search there. You'll find a sensitive spot. You'll notice as you're massaging there, that sensitive spot. That's what we're looking for. And just apply a little pressure there and then kind of work your way out, slightly massaging. Sometimes through these practices, sometimes the sign that are we're getting that reset. So when we start to swallow, or we sigh, or we yawn, those are usually signs that our vagus nerve is now starting to respond to that stimulation. Now, for our last practice, we are going to ground, orient, and resource. And this is a really important one. Anytime we do any sort of breath work or somatic practices, it's important to ground, orient, and resource. Let's go ahead and press our feet into the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, notice your contact points with the chair. Notice how it's supporting you. And rub your feet gently on the floor, back and forth. Notice that sensation. Maybe it's also making a sound. Notice that whooshing sound. Just notice the taste in your mouth. And now we're going to orient. Look around. Notice maybe 3 colors or shapes. And now we're going to resource. I want you to recall a supportive image of a person, or it can be an animal, somebody that is supportive for you. Imagining that person or that animal and breathing into it. Now that we're grounded, oriented, and resourced, just in a few words, if you care to share, what shifts have you noticed through the course of this practice today? Yawning, that's a good sign. Floating, not as heavy. Got some good tinglies going on. More relaxation. Refreshed. Well, that concludes our practices for today. If you're joining us from Texas and you're looking for additional help, I like to make myself available here. I can work with Texas residents with my license. If you have any additional questions or are curious to learn more about this, do feel free to reach out to me. If you're working with the therapist already, you can always ask your therapist to introduce polyvagal techniques, and they may start to work with you on some of these somatic practices if they're trained in that way. Have a wonderful evening.